everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 390. Wow, that's a lot. So, let's get the stuff that irks me out of the way first. I originally had this further down in my topics list, but I bumped it up to the top, because let's just start with the thing that's irksome to me. So I read an article on an enthusiast gaming news site, and I thought it was bad. The article is called, "Could Pricing Grand Theft Auto 6 at $100 Help Save the Game Industry?" And the subhead reads, "The price of games has barely budged in the last 2 decades. Okay, let me put my editor hat on here. I don't know why my editor hat is shaped like a dunce cap, but maybe that's appropriate. So, I'm struggling to imagine a writer at an enthusiast gaming website pitching this article to their editor. It's like, "Hey editor, yes writer, got a story I want to write. Cool, pitch me. All right, get this. I want to argue in favor of games being even more expensive than they already are. Framing it almost from the perspective that we gamers have a duty to be paying more for video games to help save the industry that we all love." As an editor, I might be thinking, is there some conflict of interest here that I should know about? Do you have some money tied up in something that I should really know about and we should put a disclaimer on this article? Because that strikes me as kind of a weird thing for, an enthusiast press site. Lee, it says my hair doesn't look too bad. Thank you. I'm not turning around. I don't know what it looks like from the back because I'm going blind. No idea. It's like, you really want to write an article saying that gamers almost have a duty to support the game industry by giving them even more money. That we should be thankful for paying $70 and other stuff on average for video games. We should want to pay $100. We should be sad if Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't at least $100. As an editor, I'd be very curious why you wanted to write this article. I'm not accusing the writer of having some conflict of interest that is not disclosed here. It just strikes me as really odd. And the fact that the subhead, "The price of games has barely budged in the last 2 decades, is not true. Like, at all. Even if you ignore the fact that the increase in expense of video games over the last 2 decades is not limited solely to the game's MSRP, which you absolutely should not do, and to be fair, this article does bring that up tangentially at one point. The price has gone up over the last 2 decades. So, what you talking about? Now, if you're one of those weird people like me who actually reads the article instead of, I read the headline, I even read the subhead, and then I went on social media and I bitched about it angrily for 3 consecutive days, like a normal, well-adjusted adult. Now, I actually did read the entire article, and if you read the article, it is clear that the article itself is reporting about a presentation given by a venture capitalist asswipe. So these are not the enthusiast press's words itself. This is the unsurprising opinion and desire of a venture capitalist asswipe. Of course this guy wants Grand Theft Auto 6 to be $100, because if Grand Theft Auto 6, I don't know if you know this, little insider scoop here. Grand Theft Auto, very popular franchise. Grand Theft Auto 6, next mainline entry in the Grand Theft Auto IP, probably gonna sell pretty well. Some free investment advice for you. Of course he wants the next game in this fabulously profitable and storied franchise to sell for $100, because who's the customer? Us? No, we're not the customer. No, they're selling to investors. He wants this Grand Theft Auto to cost $100 so that investors throw more money at this. They're like, oh shit, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be huge. Oh my god, they're going to sell it for $100 a pop. They're going to make so much money. Gotta get in on this. That's what's going on. So of course this dipshit is saying things like that. The thing that I find so odd is that while these are this venture capitalist's words, it's presented like it's... The format of the article itself is presented very editorial-like. Like, even myself, when I read the article, I almost missed that this was not an editorial. This is actually a report of what some venture capitalist thinks. And I don't know why anyone would care. I don't know why the enthusiast press would be interested in what someone who does not care about gaming or art in general has to say about video games. Not saying it shouldn't be reported, but the framing I found particularly odd. Oh, there's people in the chat. Hello, Jared and Chaos and Mo Horta. Oh, hello, there's a new name. Hello. Let's see. Jared says, funny how games are more expensive now than in the past. I don't find it funny at all. I'm not laughing at these high prices. But, like, I think most gamers, like, even if you could make an argument, it's like, you know what? We're making out like greedy little bandits with games not being even more expensive. Even if you successfully make that argument, I would think that most gamers would be like, whew, good for us. You know, I'm glad they're not more expensive, because they are expensive, even if you want to argue that they should be more expensive. You know, when I see, video game studios, or usually like publishers and stuff, whining that, games are so expensive. They just cost so much. I'm thinking, stop spending so much on them, dumbass. Like, if you're selling 6 million copies of something and you're bleeding money, the problem is you. You suck at this industry. You should go away. Stop paying CEOs and upper management tens of millions of dollars apiece. That would help you right there. Stop spending $500 million on every game, or whatever obnoxious total you're spending. You know? Some of these studios are huge and have multiple teams. You know, get lots of small teams, make lots of smaller scoped games that if they fail, that's okay. Someone's going to love them. They're going to be someone's favorite. Maybe you could revive it again someday. Some will be profitable, and some you might hit it out of the park and have a new IP, a new franchise that you want to invest in. You know, stop making every game this. But the problem is you've got venture capitalist dipshits like this guy who don't know business or art. They're just all money now, all money. So it's a really weird article in presentation, and it's also just very poorly argued, unless you're an investor. Yes, if you're an investor and you don't care about video games, yes, you want Grand Theft Auto to, charge as much as you can for it because people will pay it and you'll get a larger return on your investment. Of course. But that's not me, and I would argue that's probably not the majority of the people who are reading the Enthusiast Press website. Mostly gamers, I would think, who want to play games and have fun playing games. And if they're astronomically priced, you're not going to be fewer are going to be able to. But yeah, $70, let me see if I can find it real quick. Too long, but they're like, games have been $70 for so long. It's like, no, they've been stuck at $70 for so long. No, $70 as a very common price point for new popular releases is fairly recent. Unless you're 12 years old and just haven't lived very long. If you're a middle-aged dude like me, it's been around a few years. Not too terribly long. Now, the $70 price point has been around for a while, but it being common pretty much started with this generation, like the $60 price point. You'd seen it before 2013, but it was really the introduction of the last generation of consoles where we started seeing the $60 price point being fairly common. And before that, it was $50. Now, you can argue inflation, and it should be more than that. I'm glad it's not. But one thing you also have to keep in mind is it's not just the MSRP. In addition to the game going from 50 to 60 and then 60 to 70, it's also they're stripping stuff out of the games to sell back later. We're getting DLC and season passes and paying more to get the game on launch date instead of 3 days later. All kinds of different launch editions. So games are incredibly more expensive if you don't fall for the industry's trick, because the industry really wants you to just look at the MSRP and go, oh, that's the price right there. They want you to completely forget about the entire cost of the sucker. Don't do that. So, and this thing is talking, another bit of framing from this opinion piece is we need to save the industry. You want to save the industry? Okay. You, venture capitalist asshole, get out. Get out. You're ruining the industry. You suck. Nobody likes you. So that would be nice. Here's another thing. I saw a video on, I forget who it was. Was it GameSpot or someone? I forget who it was. Game Bolt, maybe? Saw a video that was 20 PS5 exclusives coming in 2025 and beyond. Most of them are like way beyond. They don't have, some of them don't have footage. Most of them don't actually have even release years. I wasn't really happy with the framing of the video, but one thing I noticed when I looked at this 20 games coming out for the PS5 in the next year or two, maybe 3, is how damn similar so many of them are. 7 or 8 of the games, nearly half of the games on this list are essentially Souls-like games. Open or semi-open world, drab color, kind of a dour, depressing presentation where a character wanders around and beats up enemies and monsters with really cool designs with a sword. Like Lost Soul Aside, The Legend of Yin Yang's Heroes, Light of Motoram, Where Winds Met, Project Awakening, Ballad of Antara, Daba, Land of Waterscar, Phantom Blade Zero. If you saw footage of all these games right next to each other, you likely would be hard-pressed to tell them apart, which is not to say that none of these games are going to be good. Many of these games, hell, maybe all of them, will be great. But it's undeniable that they are really damn similar. I love the Yakuza games, or more modern naming convention, Like a Dragon. Love that series. I don't need 7 of them over the next 2 years, right? That's a problem. Because I doubt anyone's going to buy all 7, 8, 9 of these. Now, there's actually two more. There's Exilege and Convallaria, which are pretty much exactly the same thing, except they've got guns instead of swords. And I'm not saying that all these games are exactly the same, but they are very similar in mechanics and presentation. And I left out Ghost of Yotei and what's the one that's very similar to Ghost of Yotei? Project Yinjewei. Those are very similar. Those are more sneaky parkour-y games than... They've got kind of that aspect, which kind of separates them a little bit, but big open world where you wander around hitting enemies with a sword, they're not that different. They're distinct, but they're not that different. So we're looking at 20 games coming out. It's like, are no racing games coming out? No fighting games? No dating sims? Give me a walking simulator, right? So many people love Katamari Damacy. I'm not one of them, because I'm weird. But a lot of people loved Katamari Damacy, but imagine if you were watching a video in the early 2000s that said, 20 games coming out on the Dreamcast in the next year or two, and half of them were roll things up in a ball games. You'd be like, what? I love Katamari Damacy, but I don't need 10 of them over the next couple of years. I think that's a problem that could probably be addressed. I think that might... More variety in our games. Variety in gameplay styles, variety in genres, variety in presentation. And again, I'm not saying don't make Souls-like games. I'm sure some of these are going to be great. But there's too damn many of them. There's so many slices you can get out of a single pie. At some point, you're going to have to get a second pie so that everyone's satisfied. Does this analogy even work? If you're curious, some of the other games that were on this were the Wolverine game, which we've never seen anything of except a pre-rendered cutscene that didn't even show the character design for Wolverine himself. Death Stranding 2, which is certainly a very unique game compared to the rest of things on the list. Fizzint. That's that Kojima game that's a next-generation espionage game, which we know zero about because there's never been any released footage. So, who knows? Marathon, that's that Bungie game, which we've never seen any gameplay of, but there was a pre-rendered kind of presentation trailer thing, and there's characters with guns. Bungie, surprise. There's Fair Games, $ with an S. That's a multiplayer competitive heist game. So it's probably fairly similar to the Payday games. That's at least something new. Knights of the Old Republic remake. Okay, that's... I mean, you're wandering around in semi-open world. Maybe, Knights of the Old Republic isn't really open world, but you are hitting things with a sword-ish weapon. The Midnight Walk, which is one of the games that's a very stop-motion presentation, which looks kind of neat. And then Naughty Dog's Intergalactic, which we saw a very quick snippet of gameplay, and the gameplay we saw was our protagonist wandering around an open area hitting something with a sword, so, it could be fairly similar. We'll see. Let's see, what are we talking about? Chaos says, even I won't pay $100 for GTA 6. Lee says, people should boycott the games that are really expensive, then that will teach the companies a lesson. I mean, the problem, the industry has a nasty habit of learning the wrong lesson all the time, so, like, I don't think they'd ever take the right lesson. Like, it's like, oh, we've charged too much from the game. They're never going to take. They're going to be like, oh, people don't want Grand Theft Auto anymore. You know, they always take the wrong damn lesson from it. Um, let's see. Jared says could have that backwards, but don't like the idea. Mahorda says I can't help but slightly agree. I can see their point about how we've been paying the same price for the past 25 years. Well, that's the point. We haven't. It has been getting more expensive. At least when we're talking about main the wide release games, not indie games, not stuff that you can find on the various distribution platforms like Steam. Games have, even just looking at MSRP, they have been getting more expensive. So eventually with inflation, we will have to pay more, right? No, we don't have to. I mean, there's no immutable law of the universe dictating that we have to. The systems that human beings made up, inflation is a part of a system that we made up. So we can change the rules. We're not going to, I doubt. But I doubt we're going to, but we could. So no, we don't have to, but yeah, stuff is going to get more expensive. But the industry has been savvy enough to realize that the basic MSRP for wide release games, currently about $70, is super damn expensive. Which is why the game's the game's true cost is way more than $70, but they're hiding that in season passes, DLC, launch stuff, pre-orders, microtransactions, and all of the other costs. The price has been going up, but they have been savvy enough to sweep some of that cost under the rug so that some people won't notice. Which is how some people end up getting thousands of dollars in the hole without realizing it. Because they're playing a fun little phone game or something. It's like, oh, $5 to do a thing? Yeah, it's fine. $5 is $5. But you do that maybe once or twice a day for a game you're playing most days out of the week for, several months, and it's suddenly, oh shit, I've dropped $3,000 on this stupid little phone game and didn't notice. And most publishers are like, yes, exactly as we planned. So sorry you can't make rent this month, but we got ours. Let's see. Chaos says they could sell GTA 6 for $40 and it would still make its money back in a week. Yeah, they could. They could. That's an interesting point. It's like, hey, it's GTA 6. We know we're going to sell 20 million, so we can afford to drop the price to 40. And there are questions, though. Would that devalue the game in anyone's eyes? Anyone who matters, actual gamers, not the investors that don't give a damn about them. Would that serve to devalue the game? It's a perspective that Nintendo has, which is why most of their first-party games are still full price a decade on, right? Unless they're doing like the Player's Choice line, which usually drops the price to $30 or whatever. They rarely ever put their games on sale. So, would it devalue the game in the eyes of the people that matter, the people who actually buy the product? Is there any person who's like, I was going to buy GTA 6, but it's only $40? Oh, well, it must be cheap crap or something. I don't know. How would that offset with people who are like, I'm interested in GTA 6, but man, $70 is just out of my price range. Oh, it's $40? Well, hell, I wasn't going to get Grand Theft Auto 6, but if it's $40, sure. Hell, even I might pick up Grand Theft Auto 6 at $40. I'm probably not going to play Grand Theft Auto 6. Not really into those games. But, yeah, you never know. Certainly not my area of expertise and pricing stuff. Let's see. Jared says people would be mad and complain about it being 100, then buy it anyway. Yeah, that's what this venture capitalist is banking on. Is most gamers will get the game if they can conceivably afford it. That's what he's arguing. It's like, look, everyone's going to buy this game at $70. Some people won't be able to afford it, but most, we're going to sell this much at $70. If you jack that up to 80, 90, even $100, you'll lose a little bit, but probably not enough to offset the extra $30 per sale. So you're correct. That's what they're banking on. But again, it's a perspective I understand from a venture capitalist. It's a weird thing to offer on an enthusiast press game site in a manner that comes across to a cursory read as an editorial, as the perspective of the gaming site. Yeah, that just struck me as super weird. And also this whole, the price of games has barely budged in the last 2 decades is just false. Also, the comments are off. Oh, and I just noticed it's listed under commentary, so... I mean, not the site's commentary, but... it rubs me the wrong way. Everything rubs me the wrong way. Ain't no right way to rub me. Don't touch me. Let's see. Rumored budget for GTA 6 is $2 billion. Really? Okay. Chaos says PS3 and 360 games were commonly 60. 360, many of them were, yes. At this point, the only way to save the industry may be to let it crash. Nah, it's kind of one of those too large to fail at this point. There's a lot of things. Whatever you're trying to save the industry from, making games even more expensive, like across the board, that ain't gonna do it. In my humble opinion. In a field that I did not study. Let's see. Chaos says, look at most of Sony's first-party lineup, mostly third-person, over-the-shoulder action-adventure games. Those are fine, but PlayStation was at its best when they had variety. Yeah, it's kind of what I was saying about that list of upcoming games. Needs more variety. Like, we just had Astrobot, which did great because cute, fun, fluffy, charming, light platformer collectible thingies are not as common. It filled a niche, right? The industry historically has a nasty habit of not giving gamers what they want, but giving gamers what they want gamers to want. And what they want gamers to want right now are live service games. Games that they play forever and keep pumping money into. Which is, I get why they want that, but the problem is, and I've talked about this before, gamers only have so much time in their damned day. We don't have time to, even if you make a great one of those games, any one of us don't have the time for more than 2, maybe 3 of those games. So if you're packing the industry with a dozen or more of those every single year, some of them are just going to fail no matter how good they are because there's just not enough time. Right? It's kind of like another thing that I was trying to get to is the industry always is like, well, gamers just, survival horror. It just doesn't sell. It's like, you're right. Survival horror games do not sell when you don't make survival horror games to sell us. It's like, look at all the survival horror games that aren't on sale. They're not making any money. Yeah. And then, inevitably, some studio will fill an empty niche and starving gamers, which is not all of them, of course, but the big group of gamers who like that genre of game will be like, finally, one of those, and they descend upon it and nom 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 nom. And it's like, oh shoot, every game must be that now. And it's like, no, again, you've learned the wrong lesson. you dumbasses. Ah, well. Let's see. Where are we? Marathon is an already dead game. Marathon, the Bungie game. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I have to see what it ends up being. Lisa has thought Naughty Dog left since they stopped making Crash games. Chaos says Ubisoft may beg to differ. Jared says the problem with live service is the model is not a realistic model to develop for. In some manner of speaking, it's not a sustainable thing, right? As I was alluding to, it's a very difficult thing to maintain, and it's something that's not going to last forever. Although World of Warcraft is still around, so and that's kind of what they want to make the game that everyone just plays forever. They're trying to make infinite money spigots, and here's the thing: there's not infinite money, so that's not going to work. Jared continues live service. Too much risk, and you wonder why there has been so many firings in the past 3 years. Yeah, I mean, if your business model is release a game and then fire everybody, the problem isn't like the game industry or like the market. The problem is you sucking at managing video game studios. Like, if you're constantly, and I think I said this earlier, if you're constantly releasing games that are critically lauded and sales successes, and you still have to fire a bunch of people every single year, the problem is you. Games aren't too expensive. There's not a problem with the idea of selling games. The problem is you suck at this. You're a bad manager. You're a bad CEO. Your whole structure. If you can't sell video games and make money doing it, then you're bad at your job. Now, games are just too expensive. Then spend less on them. I just can't afford to maintain my Rolls Royce, fancy car. Ferrari, there you go. Porsche. It's just too expensive. Get a cheaper car. Still get you to the grocery store and back. You don't have to spend that much on a car. Cool car. Get yourself in a, do what you can to get yourself, ethically in a financial position to be able to afford your cool car. But if you can't afford your cool car, get a cheaper car until you can. It's like, I really want the Ferrari. I should exploit and ruin the lives of other people so that I can have what I want. It's like, well, that's bad. Makes you kind of monstrous. Too many devs, publishers can't keep their budgets in check. Yeah, there's nothing inherently wrong with having a huge octuple A release where we spent $300 million, or what Chaos was saying, $2 billion on a video game. It's like, I mean, okay, if you can afford to do that, great. You're not gonna, like, fire everybody as soon as the game comes out, right? Because if you do, then you spent too damn much, right? It's Grand Theft Auto 6. You don't have to spend $2 billion on it, because it's gonna sell a lot. You don't have to do that. You don't have to not do that, but, like, if you can make a Grand Theft Auto 6 or any video game and sell it and make a profit, make a lot of people happy, and not fire a bunch of people, isn't that better? Sadly, to a lot of the people at the tippy tops, no. They're like, no, because, you see, we can do that exact same scenario. We can make a cool game, we can make a profit, And we can make a bunch of gamers happy so that they'll buy more stuff from us. And then we can also fire everybody. And the money we save on not having to pay the dumbasses who actually make the stuff that we sell and profit on, we can keep all that money for ourselves. That's more money for us. Yay! Some people are monsters. Jared says, hire people for a product you don't know will work and then make a side product for said game. Yeah, it's similar to what I was saying earlier. It's like, now, if you're just a one development studio, you've got limited number of employees and you're one game at a time thing, that's a different story. But if you're a large studio or a large company that owns a bunch of different studios, diversify that stuff. Make a bunch of different stuff. Make a lot of weird stuff, small things that you can sell for $20 on Steam. Not everything's going to work, but some of that stuff's going to catch on, and then you know what to do for the big stuff. And that's that little sustainable income that you can use to make your big octuple A budgeted games. Or maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Let's move on to let's see, Chaos says people will buy PlayStations and Xbox consoles just to get GTA 6. It will easily sell 50 million plus. Oh, altogether? Yeah. Oh, over time? Absolutely. Yeah. Shit. Grand Theft Auto 5 is still selling. It's been over a decade. They've been milking that sucker. What got milked more, GTA 5 or Skyrim? Probably Skyrim, but GTA 5, close second. Alright, let's talk a bit about the Switch 2. If you saw my reaction video, it was exactly what I was expecting. Now, I was aware of the various leaks that had been talked about in the press over the last several months. I didn't read any of it, not because I was trying to stay away from spoilers, but because I just genuinely don't care. I was perfectly happy to wait until Nintendo reveals whatever the hell it wants to reveal in its own time. And day before yesterday, Nintendo said, interestingly, they just shadow dropped it. Usually they're like, all right, we're going to have a little Nintendo Direct tomorrow to show you what our new console is. Or they'll at least put up the video 12 hours in advance, to premiere the next morning. But I think they just dropped it like at 3 or 4 a.m. Pacific Thursday morning. Because I got up, fired on the computer, and it's like, oh, hey, but there it is. How about that? I guess I'll turn on my camera and record a reaction. And it was... The only thing that really surprised me is if I had guessed how the presentation would have gone beforehand, I would have expected actual actors in the commercial, doing things like, look how much fun I'm having playing with my Switch 2. Oh, I'm going to take it outside into a park, like a normal person might do for some reason. I'm going to play it in a car. Oh, look at us trendy people living in a New York flat and or a loft, out having a rooftop party and bringing out the Switch for everyone. I expected kind of live action vignettes like that, similar to what they've done with pretty much all of their console. Here's what the hardware looks like announcements. But no, this was just a full CG. Here's the Switch. It's a little bit bigger. Here's the Switch 2. It's a little bit bigger. It's not as colorful. It's got a competent kickstand this time that you could actually use if you want. And the Joy-Cons ostensibly are a little bit easier to get on and off the console. You're probably still not going to want to use them, but they're easier to get on and off now, ostensibly. Okay. That's exactly what I expected the Switch 2 would be. It's just a more powerful version of the Switch. I didn't actually think about the new kickstand. Had I really devoted some thought, I'm like, surely they're going to do something. They're going to get a better kickstand than this weak little plastic tip. For those of you who are unaware, this is the kickstand on the Switch. It's only on one side. It's so the thing constantly falls over. This is so stupid. Also, the this has, if I'm remembering right, this is 32 gigs of memory. I think only like 26, 25 of it is usable because the operating system takes up some of it. How do you put in more? The little mini SD card slot on the bottom here under the kickstand. Oh, what a pain in the ass. Um, so no games. They're going to do a games presentation on November 2nd. So, yeah, it's certainly, almost certainly not going to be out this fiscal year. I would be very surprised if they launched it in March and then had the games presentation in early April. So I would imagine, at the earliest, we're probably going to see like a late spring, early summer, May, June kind of release. Or depending on stock levels of the hardware itself, because Nintendo probably wants to be able to sell this stuff, wants people to be able to buy it and not like, I can't find it anywhere. So they're probably sitting on it for a while to just make sure they have a bunch of stock. Also, if they feel like we need some more time to get a good comprehensive launch lineup ready, might not launch until the fall. But if I had to guess, and I don't, but I will, because whatever. I'm gonna guess May or June. Probably be out late spring, early summer. That would be my guess. My guess is also going to be there's nothing I'm going to want on the Switch when it comes out, and it's going to be like the Switch 2. And it's going to be like the original Switch where I didn't get it until the following October, where Mario Odyssey came out. Because it's like Breath of the Wild was already a Wii U game. It's like, I have a Wii U. I don't need the Switch to play it. Although I think I did end up, I think Kelly bought me Breath of the Wild on the Switch. I don't remember if I said, oh, I guess I've got to get it now, or if I held on to the game until I bought the console in October. It was 8 years ago. I may be completely misremembering everything. But looks like we're going to get a new Mario Kart, which is great. I don't play racing games, so that doesn't do anything for me. But, I would imagine there's going to be more than just Mario Kart. And as we were talking about before I started the stream, hopefully there will be some sort of pack-in. I would love to see packed-in games, or at least pre-installed games, like Astro's Playroom for the PS5. It's only 4 or 5 hours, but it's a fun little romp, right? That would be nice. Seriously, doubt it's going to happen, but it'd be nice. I just found it kind of funny that all of the new stuff that they're touting for the Switch 2 is stuff that I don't care about at all. It's like, oh, the screen is slightly bigger, and the Joy-Cons come off and go on a lot easier, and it's got a better kickstand. And I'm thinking, hey, that's great. But mine is going to sit in its dock forever, so none of that matters to me. Show me the games. As I expected, I'm not excited for the hardware. It's hard to get a sense of where it is from a technological display capabilities. We got some looks, a little bit of a look at the new Mario Kart, but I mean, it was projected on, it's a YouTube video, and it's a projected image onto the console and a television that was on an off angle, so it's kind of hard to tell, but it looks pretty much base PS4 level, maybe a little bit better than the base PS4. The console that came out over 10 years ago. So, yeah, good job, Nintendo. You're still an entire technological generation behind your contemporaries, but a lot of people really like the portability, so, hey. Let's see, what are we talking about here? Cat says fact they're doing preview events in various cities all the way till June or July means it won't be coming out till late summer or early fall. Oh, I forgot to look at the dates of the preview events. You're right. They did mention preview events. That would lend credence to pushing that release date back a bit. Good call. Jared says OLED stand looks to be a better, a little change. The OLED Switch models had a much bigger stand. Yeah, I was trying to. I couldn't remember what the OLED's kickstand was, and I didn't care enough to look it up. Chicago, hello. I don't play racing games because I live alone. Hey, I have the internet. I could play with other people. I just don't want to. Um, Chicago says the Joy-Cons almost match your dress attire. Black with a bit of color. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. They like inverted the colors. I mean, as you just saw, I have the completely gray one. But it has I don't know what colors are those, salmon and teal. Um, when they're attached, it's just slight colors around the thumbsticks, which is kind of not as fun, but definitely makes the Switch 2 look distinct from what we typically think of when we think of what the Switch looks like. There's a lot of them do look like this color-wise, with the gray Joy-Cons, but for most of the marketing, you see the pink and the blue. This just has it looks like Switch 2 has grown up and hit its emo phase, its angsty teenage phase. It's like slicking its hair all black and putting on some heavy eyeliner. Switch is telling its mom that you're not the boss of me. I'm a grown-up now. I don't know. One thing I am confident of is there will be very cool games that I'm very interested in playing on the Switch 2. That's what I'm excited for. I'm sure there will be another Mario game, which will be very cool. I'm sure Metroid Prime 4 will be very cool. I hope the people at Retro Studios are still alive. We haven't heard from them in a decade. I still have that theory that they all died of a building-wide gas leak, 7 years ago, and just no one's gone to check, and there's just a bunch of skeletons in the building. At some point, Nintendo's going to be like, progress report. Why isn't anyone talking to us? It's like, has anyone gone down to Austin and seen if, maybe they all froze to death during one of, the cold snaps where all the power failed. I don't know. I hope they're okay. Talented bunch of people at that studio. I wish they'd, make games. Because they haven't done that in a long time, and I've really enjoyed a lot of their output. Hopefully the next Zelda game will be something that interests me, because I admire the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom style of Zelda, but I don't really like it. I don't really prefer it. If I'm going to list all the Zelda games, and I think I've done this on social media before, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, that's fairly far down the list. They're not bad games, but as much as I admire so many aspects of those games, I just don't really like them that much. I like Skyward Sword better than both of them. I like Twilight Princess better. Yeah, they're pretty far down the list for me. Let's see. OLED stand is the full length of the Switch and half the. Oh right, they just made it bigger and halfway up the side. That sounds about right. They all died of COVID. Yeah, I mean, I joke. I hope not. But golly. We did get that first look at Metroid Prime 4. Yeah. Last summer, was that when we got that very brief look? Yeah. Let's see. Chicago Rare is going to use AI to replace all the developers that passed away and keep it hush-hush. Cass says, I want the open-air Zelda-styles games to continue, but the story needs to be done in better ways. Yeah, I talked about this, I think, last time, how the story is not presented very well. The story's fine. It does what it needs to do, but I always thought it would be fun to my headcanon is no one likes Link. He's this really weird, unpredictable, seemingly unreliable guy that just manages to barely come through in the end, but on like his schedule. Like he's this weird guy who just busts into your house and destroys your pots and takes your rupees, and it's like, son of a bitch. But I mean, he's the hero of time, man. He's the only one who can go get the Hyrule Castle to stop floating. What's he doing now? He's fishing. I mean, we're sure eventually he's going to go save the princess and slay Ganon and bring peace and prosperity back to Hyrule for another generation, but I really wish he'd stay out of my house and stop destroying my crops. And, I mean, if he's going to save Hyrule, I wish he'd stop fishing and cutting the grass and just go do it. And you can't talk to the guy. I mean, occasionally you get a grunt out of him, but when you talk to him, it's like talking to a brick wall. He just kind of stares at you blankly. And you're like, is he processing any of this? Like the little fairy floating next to him is like seemingly translating his inner monologue for him, but I'm looking at his face and I'm not seeing any of that. I think she's making this shit up. I'm not convinced Link won't just suddenly stab me and keep the same blank look on his face. Honestly, I'd never say this in front of him, but Link terrifies me. I'm scared of that guy. I mean, I know, hero of time, Princess Zelda seems to trust him. Must be a fantastic lay. I don't know what she sees in him. She seems to trust that he's going to save Hyrule, but man, he keeps breaking into my house and stealing my rupees. You know, I just don't trust him. That's my headcanon for the games. Link is just this really antisocial weirdo. Did you see how he helped build this town, this Hateno village, which is this wonderful melting pot of different cultures and peoples? And then he like built this house up on a hill overlooking the entire thing. Like, I totally thought he was gonna like move in and be a man of the people, but no, he just divorced himself away. Just, I mean, I'm a bit of an introvert myself, but it's really creepy. We're all here in Hateno Village and hoping that, you know, this landmass perched precariously on this large mound of dirt doesn't just, you know, fall over and drop us 1,000 feet into the drink. That seems pretty stable. But, you know, no, that's Link in that gigantic house just up on the hill staring at us. Even Ganon is like, this kid is creepy. Like, he's like, Ganon's like, oh no, I'm not underestimating him. He just creeps me out. You know, I don't want anything to do with him. I try to get away from him. I just try to, you know, it's maybe not the most mature thing, but I just try to ignore him and hope he goes away. You know, it's the same thing that happens when I have my night terrors and I see someone standing, you know, a shape standing there and I can't move. I just close my eyes and try to pretend it's not there. That really doesn't help. I should stop doing that, but yeah, Link just creeps me out. Chaos says a linear story in a non-linear world. It needs to not be flashbacks or recovered memories, and Zelda needs to be present in the events of the story. Yeah, I'd like Zelda. One of the things that I saw, one thing I really like in Skyward Sword is as you're on your adventure doing your thing, you're constantly okay, TV, that's enough. There we go. You are constantly crossing paths with Zelda and Impa on their own adventure, which is super cool, but you never actually get to see the adventure from their side, the story from their side. I thought, how cool would it be if this game had a, you know, Resident Evil 2B scenario where you go through the game from Zelda and Impa's side? What they were doing while Link was off picking daisies and catching the Hylian loach and things like that. Um, Even as DLC, a missed opportunity, I think. Um, but yeah, Switch 2. It's coming out at some point, and I'm sure I'll get it at some point. Maybe not at launch, but yeah, there's going to be games on that console that I really want to play. So yeah, I will get the Switch 2 at some point. But yeah, I'm not excited for the hardware. It's been decades since the last hardware I was excited for was the GameCube, and then the Wii came out, and it's like, hey, how would you like to play the GameCube with worse controls? I wouldn't, but it sold really well, so you know. Um, and then the Wii U came out, and it was like, hey, it's competing with its contemporaries. All right. The Wii U comes out, and it's even slightly more powerful in a lot of ways than the PS3 and the 360. That's awesome. Good job, Nintendo. Of course, the PS3 and the 360 are 6 and 7 years old, and their successors are coming out next year, so but boy, that 1 year where the Wii U was in the same ballpark as its contemporaries, oh, that was nice. Of course, none of the very few of the third parties deigned to port any of their goddamn titles to the Wii U. Even for years after, where they were porting to both the PS4 and the PS3 and the Xbox One and the Xbox 360, still weren't making. You know, I had those series of for everything but Wii U videos. It's like, yeah, I get PS4 games aren't going to run on, PS4 exclusive games and the Xbox One games aren't going to run on the Wii U, but PS3 games and 360 games absolutely will. If you can make a SKU for the PS3 and the 360, you can make one for the Wii U. I understand you don't think it's financially viable. It's not worth. Now, they were obviously going, okay, it would cost us this much to make a SKU for the Wii U. Is that worth our time? Will we sell enough on the Wii U? Well, no, because no one has the Wii U. Which, in some ways, not entirely, but in some ways was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The reason so many people didn't have a Wii U is because no one supported the damn thing. Poor Wii U. I liked the Wii U. The Wii U had some genuinely fantastic games in its library, which is exemplified by the fact that Nintendo and the other parties ported almost all of them to the Switch. Like, some of the only games I think that didn't get ported were like Kirby's Rainbow Canvas Curse, something like that. That one was very touchscreen oriented, so I can kind of see they would have had to really revamp how that game played. But I mean, they did port Zombie U, not to the Switch that I recall, but they did port it to the PlayStation and Xbox. And it's playable, but you lose a good part of the experience when you don't have that second screen, which was a shame. I really like Zombie U is actually my favorite Wii U game. I wouldn't say it's the best one, but I would say it's my favorite. I remember when the Wii U was first announced, I was like, oh, neat. Okay, why second screen, though? Okay, the controller has a screen in it. My first thought was, okay, interesting. Question. Why? And Nintendo's answer was, we have no idea. I guess you could put a map on it. Okay. And most of the games did. They had like a map or inventory on the Wii U screen. Zombie U was one of the only games that actually utilized the gamepad screen in a way that made it part of the game's experience. I mean, yeah, you can put the inventory or a map on the screen, but whether you're looking down from your television to look at the map or hitting pause to open the map, either way, you're not looking at the game. So it doesn't really matter. But there was something kind of convenient about running around and checking the map and, doing that. I remember my sister bought me the PS3 well into the Wii U's life. And some of the first games I played, I don't remember if I played Valkyria Chronicles or Tomb Raider first, but I do remember after a couple of years of Wii U, picking up the PS3 controller and playing through a game, and I'd find myself glancing down at the controller to check the map. I'm like, oh, it's not there. I have to pause the game to look at the map. So, yeah. Yeah. So, hey, want to see something neat? I bought myself a new keyboard and mouse. One thing I like about my old keyboard is it has it doesn't have the flippy tabs on it. It just has a big piece of molded plastic on the back that helps prop it up so you can type on it. My new keyboard actually has flippy up tabs on the back, but what's interesting is it has two heights, and you'll notice that this one here is taller than this one. I could actually, bring up the rest of it, but I have it taller on this end than this end because I have the way I keep my keyboard is it's kind of sitting on the stand for my monitor, but this side, this shorter stand, is the perfect height so the keyboard doesn't actually rock back and forth. So that worked out really, really well. I'm not really crazy about my new mouse though. It feels really hollow and cheap and plasticky, and the buttons are really clicky. It just feels cheap, but it works. My previous keyboard and mouse were wired, and so these are all working wirelessly off one dongle. So that's an improvement. Especially after, if you saw several months ago, I ordered two different keyboards, and the first one I accidentally ordered a short keyboard, and I've got fat fingers, so I need the full-size one. And I returned it, and I got another one that just didn't work, or it was completely broken. What a pain in the ass. But finally got a new keyboard, so huzzah. Let's see. It's 8 o'clock. Do I want to talk about anything? No. No. I'm done. I'm gonna play some more video games. I finished Ghost of Tsushima, or the main campaign for Ghost of Tsushima. So still need to play the. Well, I haven't played the Legends mode because I don't really know what it is. Maybe I'll fire that up and give it a try. But what I'm playing now is Astrobot. So my idea was I'm going to finish the main game of Tsushima. Then I'm going to play some Astrobot. And then we'll go back to Tsushima when we take a break from Cold Steel, and we'll play the DLC area. That way I don't burn myself out on the game. Of course, Astrobot actually looks like it's going to be fairly short, because I've only played it for like 2 hours maybe, and I'm already like halfway through the second world, so my one critique of Astrobot is all of the... What's interesting is Astro's Playroom is more of a celebration of PlayStation hardware. Astrobot is a celebration of PlayStation video game characters. So a lot of the little... Instead of collecting, consoles and memory cards and controllers and stuff, you're collecting little Astrobots cosplaying as various characters from various games that have appeared on PlayStation and oftentimes other consoles over the decades. And it's cute and it's charming, but the thing that surprises me and bothers me a little bit is none of these characters are actually named. Like, it doesn't say, Leon Kennedy from the Resident Evil franchise. And, with a little short bio or something like that. No, it's like, rookie police officer. He had the worst first day at work ever. Which, if you know, you know, and that's great, but what if you don't know? There's a couple deep cuts that I've come across so far. I don't think there's anything that I haven't recognized yet. There's a few I can't name. Like, I have no idea what the characters from Ape Escape's names are. I'm familiar with Ape Escape, though. But I have a feeling that I'm going to hit a couple characters that I have no idea who the hell they are. And the game doesn't say. And that's either some weird licensing thing, like they literally can't, like, for somehow they got the likeness, or it's enough of a caricature where they didn't need to license the likeness, if that's something you have to do. But it's weird to me that it's at the very least, I find it unfortunate that these characters aren't given their due credit, right? Their name, what they're from, maybe a little backstory. Now, it's possible that information unlocks later in the game. I don't know. I doubt it. But they're cute. They take the time to give them quick little animated vignettes as they mill around the main area. You know, like, Claire is, now thinking about Resident Evil, Claire is standing in front of a door with a heart on it, trying all the different keys. And if you slap her in the back of the head, she drops all the keys, and it's like, oh, shoot. And, just fun little animations. It's cute. It's junk food, but it's colorful and tasty. Maybe not good for you, but I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. I'm enjoying it pretty well so far. Let's see. Jared says, I spent $150 on a mouse and it's super hollow and clicky. Yeah, this keyboard and mouse combo was $50. And the one I got from work is a Microsoft brand keyboard and mouse, and I really like it. It now I don't know what it originally cost, but it costs like $200 now because it was discontinued like a year or two ago. Because I was like, oh, I want to get one of those. It's really nice, and they don't make it anymore. So, oh well. Anyway, that's it from me. Hope you're all well and have tomorrow off of work. I'm sorry. Well, I do hope you have tomorrow off of work, and Monday too, because it's Martin Luther King Day. So, happy 3-day weekend if you're fortunate enough to enjoy one. And join me tomorrow. We're gonna go out onto the pitch, the field, and see what our instructors have waiting for us. Maybe we'll see what's behind that locked gate, and continue on our adventures in Cold Steel. I think we're heading to Aurora, so that'll be fun. Yep, that's it for me. I'm going to eat because I'm starving. So have a nice night, everyone. Hope to see you tomorrow for the Sunday stream. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.